By the way, the other day, was it yesterday or so, the police released a statement that there was less crime. Crime has dropped. Do you believe that? Well, I can tell you straight away off the back, I don't.
Journalist and veteran radio news broadcaster Edward Wiilliams is celebrating 50 years, a half a century in radio broadcasting. Mr. Wiilliams started his career in his hometown of Freetown, Sierra Leone in West Africa back in 1961. Mr. Wiilliams, 50 years in broadcasting is quite a milestone. In which year did you actually start in broadcasting?
A teacher of mine who became a very good friend, my English language teacher, was the first one who said to me, you have to go into broadcasting, you have to make broadcasting your career. I did. When I started, I went to technical school to learn about telephony in those days, electricity, telephony, that's how you start. And I got my City and Guild certificate, London. Probably people here don't know what it is, but very significant. And then I started working for the radio station as a technician. And then a producer, female producer, who became a very good friend of mine as well, heard me through the intercom and said, come and do an audition. Did the audition, and that very day at about 5 o'clock, I had left the station, and she came with a car, pulled up behind me. The director wants to see you. The director wants to see me, but what have I done, you know? Went into the office, and there was the director, program manager, production manager. Wow. So he said to me, Hannah tells me you have a good voice. I have listened to the tape. You're going to do a record for my friend presentation this evening at 8:30. I said, but I have to ask my mother. He said, don't worry about that. About 7:30, 7:45, we had the producer came, picked me up, went to the studio, we rehearsed, and my first broadcast was a live presentation of doing record for my friend. And after a couple of years, the director said to me, you have to make up your mind. Because I was making a lot of money in those days. I was getting paid, working in the technical department, and I was getting paid per program that I did. So he said, you have to make up your mind. Which side of the microphone do you want to be? Don't tell me your mother has to.
When Mr. Eddy Wiilliams arrived in St. Maarten, it was 1983. But how and why did he come to the islands?
I met my wife from Curaçao, Suriname. Curaçao, grew up in Curaçao. I met her in Amsterdam. And we went to Sierra Leone together. In fact, my son was born in Sierra Leone. And then after some time, we came back to Holland. And then she said she would like, my daughter was born in Schiedam, that she would like her children to grow up in a different environment, not this Dutch environment. I said, I don't have a problem with that. Let's go back to Sierra Leone. She said, no, I've been there. Let's come to my part of the world. And then we met a few people from St. Maarten in Holland. Lamoni, for example, Joyce Bell, Vaclin Connor was in Holland at the time. We met them. So we knew a couple of people in St. Maarten. Anyway, the government of St. Maarten advertised a teaching position for the, it used to be called John Lamoni School. She applied, and it was something like 9 months later, she got a telegram, in those days, got a telegram that the job is hers, and she has to go to Antillean House to arrange for her passage to come. Well, I said, no, I mean, my thing was going on okay there. I had no idea what St. Maarten was like in those days. So, okay, let's seek an adventure. As long as there's a radio station there, I'm sure I will be able to get in. So, we came, and PJD2 went to Don Hughes. He said, do something. So I started the Sunday program this week. And that's how it happened.
Elton Richardson was part of the news team at PJD2 Radio in St. Maarten and remembers how he first met Mr. Wiilliams.
Eddy Wiilliams came to St. We just moved down from off the hill, or actually from Sager's Gut. there, the studio moved from up on the hill, come down to Sega's Gut, over to Plaza 21. So we just moved over there with Plaza 21. We're setting up the new radio station, new management and that whole works. And this Eddy guy came in, introduced to us. This is Mr. Eddy Wiilliams, and he's going to be in charge of the news. I'm like, what? Okay, no problem. Because we had a lot of people there in the news, Vicky Phillips, Julian Rogers, and all those guys that you work with. And Eddy came in and we introduced each other. We was introduced to each other. And we started off kicking off good because here's this new guy who came in here. It's like, work for the BBC, work for Radio Netherlands in Holland, and such like that. So it's like, okay, cool. I could get to learn a lot from this gentleman here now.
Sometimes I get teased that I want everything to be perfect. Well, it's if you love your job, you want it to be right. You want to do everything to perfection. Although you bother other people sometimes, but
I remember Dan used to come and tell us, I can't believe, are you up in the newsroom? Like, I want to chop off one other head and things like that. You know why I don't hear by about 6 o'clock? We always make it a deal, a thing. Like, after we finish work 6 o'clock, I think we still do, but after 6 o'clock, we sit down and we have ourselves beer.
And that brings us now down to 26 minutes after 7, which means it's time for a quick bush tea break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with you in a few moments. We continue now with the Daily Herald. We read here,
The radio station is 99.9, and Mr. Wiilliams hosts a popular morning program where he reads the headlines and stories from the two St. Maarten dailies.
in the first place, a lot of crimes that are reported to the police, and you know that, are not recorded. Can you imagine when somebody calls the police station and say, oh, I have a break-in or something, the police say, come tomorrow morning. We cannot come now. Yeah. Anyway, I have a lot of friends in the police force. Everybody's, some of them will meet every Saturday. We have a good time. Concludes the Daily Herald. This guy's a joker sometimes. How do I build up a country? In this status? I wrote that. Independence, I build up the country. And so we had a referendum. The last one was in 2000. Now we're in 2011. Anyway.
You editorialize the papers.
yeah,
You correct them when they're grammatically wrong.
spelling wise as well.
And based on the information that you may have, you may even say that they're full of crap.
I don't put it that way.
How would you put it?
That's not correct. Check your facts.
You have a problem with a printed press? Do you have an issue with a printed press?
No. Every section of the press is very important. They all have their role to play. Very important. But when you're reading a newspaper, any paper or any magazine for that matter, and then you see something that is so blatantly wrong, so blatant, the grammar, the spelling, I mean, it hurts. It upsets you, and I hate getting upset so early in the morning, so it ruins my day. So I have to dish it out to them.
Samuel Allen, the present news director of the Voice of St. Maarten, was one of the souls that Mr. Wiilliams took under his wings and molded into a well-rounded broadcaster from the age of 19.
Eddy gave me a start in journalism, and I'm very thankful for that start. Gave me the basic principles of what it takes to be successful, stick-to-itiveness, making sure that I go the extra mile to get that story in, sticking to whoever I'm trying to reach, making sure I go at all lengths to get in contact with that person, never letting the story go. So, the basic principles of being a successful journalist, I learned through Eddy Wiilliams, and for that I'm very thankful.
In those years, the political establishment was not really receptive to hard news.
Government makes the news any place. any place, government makes the news. And Dr. Claude Watty was in power, real in power. And I met him a short while after. I interviewed him. In fact, I interviewed him, must have been hundreds of times. And he didn't tell me directly, but people close to him said, he feels comfortable with you. You don't go and edit the tape. You don't, that type of thing. Why should I do that? Why should any credible journalist do that? And so Vance James, he was managing director of PJD2, and he was leader of the opposition. And we were working together. We never had a clash. We never had a clash. As long as you're honest in your job, because the only thing you have, the only thing I have as a person, as a journalist, is my credibility. The day you lose that, you're done.
Eddy has been very much involved in reporting and also in his own way advising the politicians of Netherlands Antilles over the years in the formation of government or in the, let us say, collapse of governments throughout the Netherlands Antilles. That is why today, on his day, there were 3 prime ministers who called in to congratulate him, namely Prime Minister Susie Camilla Raymer, Prime Minister Mariel Beda-Peters, and Prime Minister Don Martina. 3 prime ministers of the former Netherlands Antilles who sought it and important and who made comments and extended congratulatory messages to Eddy on this day today.
My job is to inform the public with credible information that is worth it, information that when they sit down at home and they look at the time, it's coming to 12 o'clock, they want to put on their radio on to listen to the news on 99.9. Choice FM.
Eddy is one of the unextraordinary person that I have met and has as a friend, who looks out for not only me, but for all of his friends. And I can't say anything more than I'm happy to spend such a time with such a man who has spent 50 years in the business of radio.
Phyllis Mate is an on-air personality on 96.3, the softer side of St. Maarten. Mate got her start into radio after an audition which was organized by Eddy Wiilliams.
It was an interesting challenge working with Mr. Wiilliams, I have to say. It wasn't always rosy. We had our ups and downs as well, I have to be honest. But one thing I will always remember about Mr. Wiilliams, he was an amazing talent at doing live broadcasting. I will never forget when it was the Big 4 trial, when Mr. Claude Watty had to be transported to Curacao, if I'm not mistaken, and the whole news coverage that was surrounding all of that at the airport. Mr. Wiilliams did an amazing live broadcast on what was going on and informed the public of St. Maarten. I will always remember that. I was like, wow.
What is actually holding up this transfer?
One tough dude. Not easy. Definitely not easy. But once you understood that he wasn't trying to just mess with you, he just wanted the best and he demanded that perfection, then you could deal with it. Then you could come in and get it done day in, day out.
The opportunity to say thank you to the audience, the people of St. Maarten, who have been there for me. There have been some difficult times. People came to me in the office, meet them on the road or the telephone call, and that really touches you. And I have made a lot of friends, and I appreciate that very much. I particularly enjoy it when there's a routine, like on Saturday mornings we go to a place, Saturday at midday we go to a place in French Quarter, going down to Orient. Every Saturday you eat. That is priceless, you know. There's a bonding with the guys you meet. And you don't see each other every week, you don't see each other every 2 weeks or so, but when you do meet, or you need something, you want something done, you call these guys and they're there for you. And to the people again who have been there for me, and also to my clients, my sponsors, who have been there through thick and thin. They've always been there, and I thank them very much, each one of them, and that we will also, 99.9, will be moving into a new era just now, and we will also be there for you.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for staying with 99.9 Choice FM. You have a wonderful day, and whatever you do the best you can, and in fact, enjoy it, okay?